Journalists are quite romantic. During our trips, we not only find interesting topics, memorable experiences, we also make new friends. After all, this is what unites all adventurers: the desire to learn and see new things, to test yourself on a hike, and of course the love for nature. In the spring, I led an Almaty tour for colleagues from Yakutia. The delegation was large, 25 people, journalists, bloggers, public figures of the Republic of Sakha. For most, it was the first visit to Kazakhstan. The city of Almaty struck them with its contrasts: a combination of Soviet postmodernism and modern architecture, flowering green parks, and a busy pace of life. Medeo Gorge is the pride of Almaty. Long time ago, skaters were setting records and figure skating masters competed for medals on this alpine rink. These days, it is a favorite recreation sport of Almaty residents. And of course, guests of the city are eager to get into the Medeo Gorge as well. Medeo has a wonderful story behind it. In 1967, a huge dam was created by directed explosion, which saved Almaty, then capital of Kazakhstan, from destructive mud flows. Yakut journalists visited Japan, China, and Mongolia. Local journalism organizations helped to visit all the best and interesting places in their countries. Kazakhstan is the fourth country on the list of the international press tour. Guests from Yakutia visited the south of Kazakhstan, got acquainted with cultural heritage of the Kazakh people, with the unique nature of the country. We were especially amazed by spring tulips and beautiful poppy fields, Yakut journalists said. When we see photos of Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, we envy you because you get such beautiful nature surroundings. You are so lucky. And the mountains, so beautiful. My main occupation is journalism, but I am also a writer. For us, inspiration is vital. I believe I found my muse here. I fell in love with Kazakhstan, with its nature, with its people and Eastern hospitality. Almaty is a megalopolis in the foothills of the Altyn Mountains. Its pearl is the Shimbulak Alpine Skiing Complex. You can get there by a modern cable car. It's convenient and comfortable. A magnificent panorama of the mountains around, alpine meadows and forests of the Tian Shan spruce stretch underneath. It is winter in Shimbulak. Down there, where we were just now, it's summer, raging with greenery. And here is snow and people are skiing. Of course, our guests are delighted. 3 days ago, they were in the south, where grass is waist-high, and now they are in alpine meadows. We'll continue our journey even higher, at a height of 2,860 meters above sea level. Let's go! Every gorge of the Altyn is different. Each plateau and valley has its own unique look. In the mountains, the change of natural zones occurs more sharply and in contrast than on the plain. The Shimbulak Tract is located in the Altyn Emel National Park at an altitude of more than 2,500 meters. There is always snow here. We ascend higher and higher into the mountains. Right now we are at Kombi 1 platform. The altitude is 2,860 meters. I took the snow. It is loose, cold, but surprisingly clean. The environment of this place is great. We are surrounded by snowboarders and skiers. And down there are not just tulips, even poppies are in bloom. That's what nature of Kazakhstan is like. It seems that our group, including myself, is already regretting not taking our skiing equipment with us, but admiring the beauty of snow-capped mountains, watching the skiers go down the slope. This is a great pleasure as well. As a teacher, I'll say that it's good that you preserve the unique pearl of your nature, the snowy peaks, because they are very vulnerable. They feed your water resources. These mountains, forests and water, those are real treasures. This unique natural zone borders with the multi-million megalopolis of Almaty. The picturesque nature of the highlands and pristine air attract more tourists each year. Many residents of Almaty spend their free time here. Look, Almaty is stretched behind me. Not often one will see the city this well. Usually it is hidden under the layer of smog. The smoke covers the city like a thick film, but because of the rain and snow we had yesterday, the city is visible. This is a serious environmental problem. It should be noted that the city is half encircled by mountains, which trap the smog above the city. It fades only after heavy snowfalls or rains, which is the case today. We know this, and we are very worried about our city.
И вот сейчас как раз такой случай. Мы знаем это, и мы очень переживаем за наш город.
Urbanization often results in significant damage to the natural environment. It's good that there are still many corners of the earth untouched by civilizations, corners of pristine nature. From the noisy, crowded city, we set off for the Altyn Emel National Park. This time, travelers Fionn Cullen from Liverpool and Megani Dodemong from Brussels are coming with us. They are currently working in Uzbekistan and spend their free time exploring the nature of Central Asia. Altyn Emel National Park received its name from the similarly named pass. In the fall, under the light of the setting sun, it becomes yellow, or rather golden. Altyn Emel means golden saddle in Mongolian language. Mountain ranges surround a large valley in which the reserve is located on the east and the north. The nature of this area is unusual, scanty vegetation of semi-desert and rocky mountains. The climate is sharply continental, dry, cold winters and sultry summers. The harsh climate is mitigated by the full-flowing Ili River, which carries its waters to the Lake Balkhash. Thickets of desert poplar, turanga, prickly jungil, tamarisk stretch along its channel. During winter, when hunger roams in the steppe, even tamarisk gives shelter to animals. Pheasants find food here, wild boars and hares love hiding in here. This is their sanctuary. Have a look. The fall has just started taking the scene, diluting bright colors to the steppe burnt by summer heat. Small oases of tugai vegetation of Eli barberry, dog rose and silverberry emerged in areas where groundwaters break out to the surface in the tracks of Kolbastau, Minbulak and Korsbastau. There will surely be enough feed for the animals during winter. The best place to begin acquaintance with the nature of Altyn Emel is at a visit center. The animal world of the Zhetisu is rich and diverse. There are 67 species of mammals and over 260 species of birds. The visit center presents documentary shorts, dioramas of amazing landscapes and photographs of the wild inhabitants of the Ili Valley. The message to the future, which will be revealed in 2116, never fails to intrigue tourists. What is this message about? Surely it is about preserving the nature, the main wealth of humankind. Eco-tourism is rapidly developing in the national park. Tourists, accompanied by guides, follow special trails. There is a high standard for cleanliness on the territory of the national park. During the 2 days of our travel, we didn't see a single plastic bottle on the ground. This is how wildlife preservation and tourism coexist, the concept known as eco-adventure. One of the favorite tourist destinations is located in the foothills of the small Kalkan Mountains, the Shokan-Walekhanovsk Spring. It is known for a fact that in 1856, during an expedition from Russia to Kashgar, a traveler, scientist, intelligence officer of the Russian Tsar Army, Shokan Walekhanov, stopped here. He was the one to describe this area in detail, its nature and wildlife. Later, this oasis and spring in a rocky desert were named after him. Even during the summer heat, this area is cool and fresh. One can relax and have a snack after a long journey under a light canopy, sit in the shade and enjoy the crystal clear water. Local people say that the spring is holy, healing from many diseases. One of the wonders of Altyn Emel can be found in Kosbastau tract, a tree that is over 700 years old. It has a strong trunk. Thick branches form an extensive crown like a giant tent. Knotted branches weave into strange patterns. Several people need to be standing around this giant, holding hands, to be able to hug it. Judging by its age, this amazing tree survived the raids of Genghis Khan. Local people believe this long-living willow is sacred. People treat this tree as a living being. There was a year during which people started using branches to burn for heating, and the household got into trouble. There were fires, people fell ill. Then the owner began to treat the tree more carefully. He carries dry foliage and branches away and buries somewhere, and all misfortunes ceased. Look at those tree props which should prevent branches from falling. It is strictly forbidden to cut them down. We came across many tourists on the Kodon. Friedrich Porsche is one of them. As a tourist from Europe, what do you find interesting about Altyn Emel National Park?
Well, we were traveling to Kazakhstan and we were looking for national parks and other destinations to visit, and Altyn Emel was one of the parks that raised our interest because it was supposed to have unique landscape with the desert-like landscape basically, and so that's why we decided to come here. And we have seen some pictures before, and everything looked very beautiful, so we thought that's a place we should go and visit, also because there are not so many tourists around this region yet, which is also very unique.
We are heading to the Aktau mountains. At the barrier, we are greeted by the gamekeepers of the national park. They accompany tourists through the territory of Altyn Emel. Our guests from Europe became interested in a Soviet-style car state inspectors arrived with. People call it a loaf or a pill. This old unpretentious car moves on rocky terrain with ease, but driving it proved to be tricky.
Gaz?
Не, газ, go. Gaz.
Gas?
Gaz.
This gas.
Stop.
Stop en op ja.
Yeah.
We are driving along a road that is several centuries old. It is easy to imagine how people of ancient times were traveling by carriages, forming caravans with herds of kulans, dzigitai, grazing in the foothills of the mountains. Mountain Gorge is a true paradise for animals because there they can easily hide from piercing winds. A couple of kulans appeared on the horizon, most likely aging specimen who fell behind their herd. They are calmly grazing in the steppe. This suggests that there is no disturbance for them. They do not react to our engine noise. Nobody scares or chases them here. They feel safe. And somehow, in this waterless semi-desert, they manage to find food. The animals look well fed. I don't see young animals nearby, but we'll go further and will most likely see the young. Altyn Emel is the native habitat of kulans. This is reminded by the names of local mountains: Kulan Tobe, Kulan Basi. By the end of the 20th century, due to excessive hunting, these Perissodactyla almost disappeared in these lands. The population of kulans was restored only in the late 80s as a result of a large-scale zoological activities. I will remind you what a bold experiment was carried out in 1984. Back then, kulans lived on the Bashsa-Kelmes island in the Aral Sea. But the sea dried out and people decided to relocate some of the animals. 24 kulans were immobilized with sleep darts and brought here by car. The experiment was a success. About 4,000 of these unusual animals now live in Altyn Emel. Here are the mountains of Aktau, one of the most picturesque and fantastic locations of the national park. Millions of years ago, the waters of the ancient sea were splashing here. Over time, the sea dried out and young mountains rose from the bottom. Water and wind created bizarre and beautiful gorges and canyons. These mountains seem to be white from afar. However, coming up closer reveals an amazing variety of colors. You can see red-colored slopes in the gorges alternating by motley and white crests of the peaks. Limestone mountains of Aktau are a continuation of the eastern slopes of the mountains of Aktau. There is almost no vegetation, only saxol, desert shrub Juzgun, Caligonum and tamarisk grow here. The Aktau Mountains are known all over the world thanks to findings attributed to prehistoric times. Fossilized tree bark and traces of fauna of the ancient sea were found in the gorges. Every year, when the snow melts, this dry-looking harmless ditch turns into a fierce, seething stream. And God forbid a lone traveler or a car to get caught up in the stream. Everything will be demolished. When the water is raging, it washes out the intricate figures in the soft canopy of the mountains. These are the Aktau Mountains. We can see them from up close. White, pink tones. An amazing variety of colors of nature in this desert. What a miracle! You can't disagree. Landscapes of Aktau are sometimes called Martian. There are no signs of water, only pebbles, sand and clay. There is no single soul around. This is a deserted, wild corner of the earth where it seems that even time has stopped. Are there any animals in the desert? There are animals indeed. They lead a secretive hermit lifestyle. Sometimes they leave traces. See, someone had passed through here. Here are hares droppings. If they were larger, we'd say that they were gazelles. And if they were even larger, then that we could suppose it was a kulan. This is how someone who understands nature reads traces. Many tourists come to Altyn Emel to watch wild animals in their natural habitat. State Inspector Sergei Ponomarev knows when and where one can find the animals. Is there a zonal distribution of animals of the national park? In the highlands of the national park, we've got Siberian mountain goats, especially in the Almaty mountains. Wild mountain sheep, Joly, inhabit the mountains of Aktau, Katutau, Ulkan-Kalkan. Raw deers, wild boars, pheasants and rabbits live closely to the channel of the river Ili. That is the main distribution pattern.
У нас в русле реки Или находятся косуля, кабаны, фазаны и кролики. Они распределяются по этим частям.
And what about kulans? Kulans and gazelles live on the plains, in the foothills, in the steppes.
В предгорье горы, в степях.
2 years ago, Altyn Emel was included in the UNESCO World Network of Biosphere Reserves. The main goal of creating the worldwide network is to ensure exchange and cooperation between countries in the field of geological heritage protection. There are currently 119 UNESCO global geoparks in 33 countries. Altyn Emel, with its unique landscapes, became the first national park in Kazakhstan to receive the international status of the UNESCO Global Geological Park. Most importantly, tourism associations of the whole world got to know us since we became part of UNESCO. Just a month ago, I went to Beijing and Shanghai. We are the only national park of Kazakhstan to become a member of the Association of National Parks of the international community. The main goal is to create conditions for tourists. There are no asphalt roads in the Altyn Emel National Park, and there's no need to one. It is necessary to make a good quality gravel road and show nature as it is.
Эту же гравийную дорогу очень хорошо, чтобы мы показали, как есть в природе.
The status of geopark has expanded the opportunities of the local population to open new businesses in areas of limited economic activity. We visited Gulzhamash by Jumaeva. A woman grows vegetables, greens in her garden. She also breeds livestock. Her small household feeds more than just her family. Part of the produce goes for sale. The population of this area is 4,000 people. They are engaged in agriculture, work in the field of ecological and recreational tourism. The national park should work for the people. The park is visited by tourists. The local population should create conditions for them, maybe host dinners, feed them, build a guest house, hostel or ethno-towns. If there is no money, we give a small loan at 4% under the UNDP project. This year we have 20 families that host tourists in their houses. UNESCO Global Geoparks are designed to ensure the sustainable development of the region and the influx of foreign tourists. A modern tourist is looking not only for adventure, but also comfortable, safe conditions during the trip. It is allowed to put up tents on the territory of bioreserve in specially designated areas with parking lots in convenient vicinity. What is that attracts travelers from different parts of the world to Altyn Emel?
The mountains are very beautiful, and the different colors of the mountains it's amazing. It's really beautiful.
Your nature is very different from the nature of Kazakhstan. Here we have scarcity of vegetation and sizzling heat. What can attract you here?
Europe is more standard, so to say. Kazakhstan is really different. Like, there's no place like these mountains. It's so many different colors, and yeah, the people are just really nice here in Kazakhstan.
Oh, I really enjoyed it. People here are very passionate about their own country, and they seem to know the landscape here very well, and they care for it as well.
The landmark of the Ili Valley is the landscape nature monument, which is called the Singing Dune. This is a sandy mountain stretched for 3 kilometers. Surprisingly, there are no other dunes around. The sandy embankment is surrounded by mountains on one side. The river Ili is stretched on the other. It is also unusual that the Singing Dune, Aigai Kum, stands still without changing its location for millennia.
Посмотрите, какая
Just
удивительная
look at the
фракция
fraction of this sand, very fine, interwoven and clean. Everything is made of this sand here. This is the bottom of the former Tethys Ocean. I think that even Mediterranean beaches shall envy such sand.
Пляжи Средиземноморья.
Locals say that seeing Dune resembles roaring camel or the rumble of an airplane. Nowadays, physicists explain the sound by the friction of dry grains of sand and crystalline electrization, but not everyone succeeds in hearing it. Ayjan Jadaru, our guide and translator, tried her luck. After sliding down the mountain, she returned inspired. So how was it? My descent was not the smoothest one, but the sound of the dune was worth it. So beautiful, refined, like a string instrument that doesn't exist. The sound seemed to come from everywhere. I can't describe it. You need to experience this yourself. At the bottom of the famous scenic dune in the Altyn Emel National Park, we came across saxol. These are small but viable trees. It seems that this miracle of nature exists thanks to saxol. It survives despite the abundance of small and salty sand. Lizards are scurrying around, and the ubiquitous tourists. Saxol is there to stay.
Ящерицы и вездесущие туристы. Но саксаулу быть.
The famous ridge of the Saka Mounts, Bes Shatir, does honor to the national park. This is a monument of the early Iron Age, the ancient royal tombs. There are about 30 mounts near the Shalak Mountains. One can only speculate what battles were raging in this steppe in ancient times. Prominent military leaders were buried in the middle mounds and the glorified soldiers in the smaller ones. Now a popular sightseeing route leads here. On the open plain of the Kalkan Mountains, huge sharp stones rise as if mythical giant impaled those stones into the steppe. These are the steles of Oshaktas, 3rd century BC. According to one version, this used to be a signal tower. It is the place where fire was lit in the event of an approaching enemy. Its smoke was visible on the other signal towers, and there are many of those in Jetisu. Local guides also like telling a legend that in 1219 the great commander Genghis Khan ordered to place a giant cauldron on the steles to feed his countless troops. The historical monuments of Altyn Emel attract foreign tourists. For 2 days, we traveled across the Altyn Emel National Park. We saw mountains, steppes, the river is behind us. Now we are reaching the sea. What did you like about nature of Kazakhstan?
For me, the highlight of this trip has been the Aktau mountains. I think they really are amazing. I've never seen anything like them before. The layers of different colored rock really were very beautiful. So this time, it's my first time to Kazakhstan, and I will only be able to visit the Almaty region, but I have been to Charan Canyon, the Kandy and Kolosai lakes. I have been in Almaty city. I will go to Big Almaty Lake, Medeo, and done some hiking there. I have been here to Altyn Emel National Park, and I will go to Asi Plateau. And I will need to come again to see other regions of Kazakhstan.
We are leaving Altyn Emel, but we'll always remember amazing landscapes of this wonderful country of stone, ancient legend and historical past. New adventures are waiting ahead of us, acquaintance with the nature of Kazakhstan and wonderful people who preserve the beauty of their native land for future generations.